Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. So post positions will draw this afternoon for Preakness 149 later on today. I feel confident we're set with the 10 horses to profile, so I'm going to go ahead and do the preview now. Then we'll come back once the post positions are drawn and we get some past performances. We could do a deeper dive and get a more definitive look at the top selections and contenders. So we'll do that. Plus plenty of other stakes races this Saturday. Black Eyed Susan coming up as well. So we'll get into some of that later on in the week. So the Preakness, leg 2 of the Triple Crown, mile and 3/16, Pimlico racetrack. So stick around for the final segment because that's when we'll finalize our early looks and selections. But you'll be interested in the last horse that I profile that is a surprise late addition and will add much intrigue to the race, in my opinion. So, and yes, actually, the Kentucky Derby playlist is still worth a look. Plenty of all those prep races. There's plenty of Derby trailers still in the mix for both this race and the next one, Belmont. So you can always dip back in there to get some vital past performances and horses that I profiled. So this is an important week for me, I think, and maybe this week and next week with the finishing of the Triple Crown. I'm about 90 subscribers away from 2,000, and that's a really good mark for me. I think I've come a long way in a short time, and it's a lot to do with you guys, all the people that support, comments, listeners, people that share, and get a lot out of this content. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to that channel. And think about it. Tell a friend or maybe somebody that's into horse racing that maybe doesn't normally watch a lot of YouTube videos on horse racing, and say, check out Billy Ho. He's I'm not super in depth with handicapping, but I do get deep enough to satisfy beginners and intermediates and things of that nature. So I kind of like where I'm at right now with the handicapping 101, 102 type stuff. So remember, subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button for me. I appreciate it as always. Leave a question or a comment about the upcoming race. And we're off. Okay, let's kick things off with that dude, Mystic Dan. Credit to Kenny McPeak for the little change up in running style from the early speed presser type to the more of the stalking style that had him winning 2 of his last 3 races, which included the Kentucky Derby, obviously. He came out of the Derby well, looking good to go. Kenny McPeak did mention that he doesn't really do so well off 2 weeks rest like that. And I did look up in the past performances and I'll probably point this out when on the next video, but he did, after his maiden win way back in November, come back 2 weeks after that, and he got tired, but that was going from a 5.5 furlong maiden breaker to a mile. So that was a big jump in distance for him at a young age. So I don't think that I'm going to read that much into it, but it's still 2 weeks is 2 weeks. That's a tough ask for a horse that's normally used to 3 or normally used to 4 to 5 weeks, really. So should probably be a decent value. I think he'll get bet some, but there's a lot of extra horses in here that are going to pull money from him. So keep an eye on the tote board. Hopefully we'll keep hope alive for that second leg. Now, Dwayne Lukas got a couple of horses in the mix. Just Steel is going to come back. And this horse has run more races as a 2 and a 3-year-old than many horses do in their lifetime. He's going to be making his 13th start off another just 2 weeks off. He had really the longest layoff of his career before the Derby after the Arkansas at 35 days. He normally runs once a month. He's come off 3 weeks where he does. The shorter the rest, the worse he looks. The last time he wheeled back was like 3 weeks after the Southwest. He ran 7th in the Rebel and was flat the whole way. So I think this whole horse needs a nice long layoff, and maybe Dwayne's just trying to grind him through the Triple Crown. And I defer to him on that. He runs his horses the way he's always done it. He's a different kind of cat. So I do kind of believe he peaked with that second place in the Arkansas Derby. So I'm not going to read too much into it. I actually like his other horse, Seize the Gray, a little bit better. I think if he can get the distance, which I think he can, but Dwayne Lukas also trains Seize the Gray. He got me paid off, so I will have some love for him on Derby Day with that big win in the Pat Day Mile going off at like 9-1. Many did think he was going to be a Derby contender, Derby horse, but he had a disappointing effort in the Toyota Bluegrass that kind of knocked him out of the running. So they put him on the undercard Derby Day. Horse I'll keep an eye on, and we'll have more information as we move along the week. And next is Mugatu. And this is a horse I didn't really know a whole lot about. Jeff Engler trains, came up through the turf early in his career, had decent success, then broke his maiden on his first try on all-weather synthetic at Gulfstream. Then they tried him on dirt, did not work out very well for him. And then he moved him right back to the turf for a race, but he hasn't really been. He's been last four have been at Turfway Park on the synthetic, and honestly hasn't been very impressive at all. So I don't know. Passing definitely. Uncle Heavy is in the field. Trainer Robert Reed. He hit the Derby Trail scene with the upset win at the Withers back in January at Aqueduct. Grinder, Stalker. Doesn't seem to break very fast from the gate out of the last two I've watched. He was off really slow in the Wood Memorial. He was way back and had to make a really super wide move into the stretch. And then I'm going to show it to you this time. 12 horse drifts out into his path. They clip heels. The 12 goes down, knocks Heavy off his stride. While I don't think Uncle Heavy would have won that race, I think he had a chance to at least get up for the show, which would have given him enough points to put him in the Kentucky Derby. So that was kind of a very unfortunate turn of events for Uncle Heavy. I'll be interested to see how he shows up versus this group. I think he'll be one of those kind of live long shots to pick up the pieces, maybe round out some tries. So then the next up is going to be Tusken Gold. Chad Brown liked what he saw so much out of this horse. He scratched him out of the Peter Pan and is going to run him here. So I think for him to pass up on the Peter Pan, which a race that horse could have won easily, it says a lot of his chances. And he did run that brilliant third, breaking from the outside in the Louisiana Derby. Like I said in the previous video for the Peter Pan, I like the way he created space and wasn't intimidated down the stretch in the middle of the track, kept running hard and only beaten by Catching Freedom and Honor Marie. So it's going to be pushing 60 days since that Louisiana Derby. So we'll see how he comes out of the layoff, but good looking horse, lightly raced, does probably need maybe it might even need this race. You might see this horse really shine late in the summer in some of those races, major grade ones. So we'll be on the lookout. Oh boy, here we go. Muth. Bob Baffert is bringing the big guns to Pimlico. We finally get to see this 3-year-old star compete on the big stage. I mean, Arkansas Derby was all right. He handled his business just fine there. And Baffert's won the Preakness 8 times, could very well make it number 9 here. If he's in a race, he's the top early in speed. If he's pressed, I think he pushes harder. I don't think he's I'm not going to say he's unbeatable. Every horse is obviously beatable, but he is going to be the favorite for a reason. I think on paper he's the best horse in the race. Another really good one that's going to be right there with him is Imagination, and that's Bob Baffert also. And he battled it out down the stretch in Santa Anita Derby. You could see, I noticed in the stretch run, Stronghold was beginning to go right by him, but he was able to find a little extra and keep it closer. He did ultimately give way later, but he came right back. Previous to that, San Felipe, he had a heads-up duel down the stretch with Wind Me Up in a similar duel where he actually started to lose the lead but fought back to win. So I like how he finds like a little bit of extra gas in the tank when he's challenged like that. So very consistent horse. Early speed also, right along with Muth. And I wouldn't put it past Bob Baffert to put these two up top. and then show the way, and neither one of them press the other one too hard. That way they don't burn each other out. And then Bob says, you all settle it in the stretch, kind of like he's done with the past several horses he's had. So I think him going 1-2 in the Preakness is exactly what Baffert wants, to put himself back squarely in the front of the center stage of horse racing after all the suspensions and all that stuff with Churchill Downs. So Muth is going to be your top choice. Next, Copper Tax. That is trained by Gary Capuano. Probably going to be a long shot. Won back-to-back stakes races at Laurel. The last one, I guess, was the final prep for the Preakness, the Federico Tessio Stakes. And he stumbled, had caught wide in the first turn, but came from way back to run down the one horse to win that race. Very nice horse, and it's possible if he's able to run late like that he could pick up some pieces and maybe crash the board at a big number. So I don't know how he'll run at Pimlico versus Laurel Park, but he looks pretty solid, but just probably a tier below this group. Now, the big addition. Brad Cox confirmed it this morning or yesterday. I can't remember exactly when, but they're shipping him today. Catching Freedom will arrive in Maryland probably this afternoon, I guess. They probably headed out this morning from Lexington or Louisville. He's probably still at Churchill Downs. So his initial reaction was not to run Catching Freedom back 2 weeks rest after that hard Kentucky Derby, but he came out. He had a pretty clean trip. He followed right behind Mystic Dan right on that inside path because he was the number 4 horse and was making up ground late, but just kind of ran out of real estate. And it was just too late to get any higher than the 4th place finish. He's very fast in the stretch. I noticed his speed is very impressive. So Cox said he was doing well, deserves another shot at a Triple Crown victory. So he's a very interesting horse. That's going to do it for the field for the 149th running of the Preakness Stakes. So my early top selections, I'd say I got to have Muth on top right now. And then in no particular order behind that, although I would put Catching Freedom and Mystic Dan, Imagination, all those 3 are kind of the second tier. And then Tusken Gold, and then maybe some Uncle Heavy and Seize the Gray underneath that. That's kind of tier 3 maybe. I really don't know what to make of Tusken Gold. He ran good enough in the Louisiana Derby that he seems like he would be competitive with this field. But I don't know if how he's matured since his last race. It's going to be nearly 60 days. He could have shown, he could come out there and light it up for all we know. That's a big jump in maturity in this time of the year for a 3-year-old. So we'll be on the lookout, and you be on the lookout for another video very soon. Like I said, we'll have a post position draw today. Then we'll do some post positions and post draw analysis and all that stuff. Not much to analyze in a 10-horse field. They all got a shot. Black Eyed Susan's coming up, undercard stakes races and everything else for Saturday. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you so much. Subscribe. We need to get that 2,000, baby. Let's do it. And we'll see you soon.